Hi folks, another week in parliamentary paradise and looking forward to seeing more good laws passed through Parliament.
Should parents be consulted on the content of sex ed and what's in those classes?
They should be. The question is whether that should occur at a national level or at a school board level. There's a bit of debate going on about to what extent should content and curriculum be created at the school level versus the national level. I think generally speaking, bringing some control back to central government is a good thing because we've had very questionable curriculum for a long time and our results have been going backwards in that period, and I would apply that principle to RSE as well.
I know that they're very different topics, but one of the things that's being discussed in terms of removing those obligations on board, those treaty obligations on boards, is to allow that parental choice, local communities to decide how much that is reflected in school classes and curriculum. Why does that apply in that space, but not when it comes to sexuality and relationships education?
Well, I think first of all, if you look at the requirements that are being put on, it's academic achievement is number one, and the whole cultural diversity of New Zealand must be included in everything that a school does. Those are the requirements. When you come down to the precise details of what exactly is being taught, there's some things around relationships and sexuality, specific things that the government wants to see taught consistently across the country. There are other things that actually I think need to have some more choice there.
You've publicly stated that you're bothered with the quote intolerant and bullying tone of schools that have declared that they will continue to uphold the treaty. What about their tone has given you that impression?
Well, they've got the choice to do whatever they want, but they seem to have a problem with respecting everyone else making that choice. They've just been given the freedom, and yet somehow they're angry about that, and it seems their anger is that they don't want other people to teach as they would like to teach. These guys aren't being stopped from doing anything they want to do. What they are being asked to do is respect that other people might make different choices, and somehow they're angry about that.
There have been, about 500 schools so far that have, written letters publicly saying, that they want to uphold the treaty. Is your policy out of touch?
No, because there's 5 times more schools than that for a start. Second of all, they're actually following the law. If you think about it, the law requires them to express New Zealand's cultural diversity. It doesn't stop them from including the treaty in that. So they actually think that they're being rebels, but they're following the law. Where they would be breaking the law is if they fail to put educational attainment at the top of their priorities. The ACT Party campaigned for and won putting educational attainment as the paramount objective of school boards. That is the non-negotiable.
Isn't it possible to do both? That you can uphold the treaty while also still prioritising academic achievement?
Well, actually, if you do one thing, by definition, you can't do another thing at the same time. So we've said academic achievement first, and then other objectives such as reflecting the multicultural nature of New Zealand. They can reflect the culture of New Zealand through their commitment to the treaty if that's what a particular community wants to do. No one's stopping them from doing that. But what we're clear about is that educational attainment comes first, because if you're really worried about upholding the treaty, having an education, getting a job, getting a house, those are the things that people need. If you want to talk about the Crown being a treaty partner, generations of failing young Māori children to have the basic skills to succeed in their lifetime, that is a failure of the treaty.
Does the legislation still require school boards to try and seek to achieve equitable outcomes for Māori students?
Well, actually, it should be for all students, but it does say that. It says that what has been left in the Education Act is equitable outcomes for Māori students. I think what people should take from that is actually it should be equitable outcomes for all students.
National and Labour have started to select candidates. Do you have any idea on when ACT will announce candidate selections?
It'll be next year. We've actually started opening our registration for potential candidates. There'll be a lot of vetting. There'll be a School of Practical Politics, but after that we'll start announcing them. We're very excited to contest 26.
What did you make of the selection? Going as MP for Epsom?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, I wouldn't give it up for the world.
What did you make of the Supreme Court's decision yesterday on the Uber drivers?
Well, I respect the Supreme Court. They're there to interpret the law and I don't criticise their decisions. What I will say is that Brooke van Velden is making sure that the gig economy is vibrant in New Zealand for people that want that choice by introducing a gateway test for people who are contractors, because contracting is a legitimate choice for a lot of people, and this government will uphold it.
Does this court decision mean that you have to legislate a bit faster than planned, where you have to have something in place before Christmas?
Look, the legislative program is going as fast as it can at the moment. I don't see it changing, but you'd be better to talk to Brooke Van Velden about it.
Did you previously say you would give up Parliament for love?
Oh, well, I found out that much like Te Tiriti and academic attainment, you could do two things at once, apparently.
There's just
You
been
couldn't. What comes first? Which comes first?
I think it's love, marriage, baby, carriage, something like that.
And if you don't find yourself back in government after next year's election, would that be it?
Look, I'm not even going to consider that possibility. You see these insane Green Party. You know, those guys have a right to their policies. What they don't have a right is to damage the international reputation of New Zealand by saying that they're going to rip up contracts that the government has issued. We must keep them out, so I'm not even considering that. It was bad enough when New Zealand First and National and the Greens banned future oil and gas exploration permits. That trashed our reputation. If you start ripping up consents that the government's already issued because you don't like them under your policy, you're trashing the reputation of New Zealand. The Green Party are actually terrorists in that sense, and because that's the kind of damage that they're doing to New Zealand's future.
Terrorists, that's a very strong word to use.
Well, they're people that are undermining the law in New Zealand, they're undermining trust in New Zealand, they're doing damage to our country in international eyes. You could call that terrorism if you like. It is actually something that is well outside the norms of politics in New Zealand. No one has said we're going to rip up contracts that you currently have.
There's just been a petition handed over outside for the social media ban. Obviously, ACT doesn't support that for under 16-year-olds. How much of what's come out of that select committee inquiry are you hoping gets picked up from the regulations that Stan has spoken of?
Look, the problem is massive. Parents are hugely concerned about young people on social media, predatory behaviour, inappropriate content, addiction to doom scrolling. These are massive problems, but a ban is too simple as a remedy for that. I say listen to what the select committee finds from listening to the experts around the world. Watch how the ban goes in Australia. I suspect they're going to have a few practical problems, and then ask if this problem is worth solving, it's worth solving correctly, which is what I've been saying all along. Just banning certain platforms, at best you're going to push kids into worse parts of the internet.
Would you meet with this group to hear out their concerns?
Well, I was just talking to Anna Mowbray on the forecourt before. We go back a long way. I'm having a beer with Blair Knight after this, well, not after this, after at dinner break. So look, no worries there. I know them well, but and Cecilia Robinson I know well, her businesses in Parnell and Epsom. So look, I know these guys well, but what I say to them is, look, the reason you guys like me is that if there's a bad policy idea, I'll oppose it even if my friends support it.
Are you keen to have Brooke Van Velden run in Tāmaki again, and could she win that seat another time?
Well, it's not just me, it's the people in Tāmaki. I tell you, one of the occupational hazards is people from Tāmaki coming up to me saying how great Brooke is all the time, and I kind of like it, but a bit of love here too, please. Look, she's doing very well, and I may have seen polling recently that says that not only do I want her back in Tāmaki, people in Tāmaki, a strong majority of them want her back in Tāmaki.
What's the numbers of that poll?
It's something that I'm not at liberty to share, but if you were an ex-supporter in Tāmaki, you'd be pretty happy about it.
Whose poll was it?
One that by a pollster I'm sure you guys have covered, Curia. Yeah. All right, folks, thank you very much. You have a good day.
Thanks.